This is Eden, your realtor with ReMax Premier. Hope you're having a great time. I'm going to quickly go over an information that you must know. It is about this document here. That's a document a real estate agent in GTA or under Toronto Real Estate Board in Ontario has to share with you before you start working with them. It's very important, in my opinion, to really sit and have a consultation with a real estate agent before you choose one to work with them. So what is that all about? It's called Working with a Real Estate Agent, or Things You Need to Know. And it's a 12-page document that we are supposed to share the first time we start talking real estate with a potential client. Okay, most agents skip this process, which I believe is wrong. So this is why I'm making this video. And at the same time, from a consumer point of view, it's a lot of pages and a lot of people get overwhelmed and they don't go over it. So the purpose of this video here is, in short, to explain to you the meat and the potato of this 12 pages document, so that I really hope you get a lot of points out of it. So I'm going to share the document with you so that you get to read it for yourself. So here, the whole explanation here of this 12 pages is, I will sum it in a short, what you need to know in choosing the right real estate agent to represent you. And the second part is, we real estate agents are required to explain this 12 pages before providing any assistance or services, which is really important. If people are going to have a relationship, they need to know what that relationship is all about. Okay, so now page 1 here will explain what is in these 12 documents. For example, if we go to page 1, page 2 and page 3 explain working with a real estate agent. That would be like the benefits of working with a real estate agent and the responsibility of the clients. It will explain that. Okay. And again, I trust if you're sitting with the real estate agent, we're going to have to explain why you choose me to be a real estate agent, vice versa. So that's one you need to know. And page 4 to 6 here, know the risk of representing yourself. There's two options in buying or selling real estate. One is you choose a real estate agent to work with. One, you could say, no, I'm going to self-represent and I'm going to be my own, self. And the risk of getting into that without having a representation, we need to educate you about that as well. And then we have page 6 to 8 explaining signing a contract with a real estate brokerage. Like if you're choosing a buyer agent or seller agent, what are the terms? What is the level of length of time that you have the relationship with? What is it you're paying for that service? All that has to be explained. Then we have page 9, understanding multiple representation. That's another very crucial information that you should learn. If there's a real estate agent that represents both the buyer and the seller, how does it affect you? So we need to explain that. Page 11, the final page, talks about if you are misled or the agent did not do their job, how do you make the complaint? So everything is explained from A to Z. So quickly to go over this 12 pages document, working with a real estate agent, like as I say, if you're a seller, the real estate agent has to explain what are the level of service they're going to give you, how long, and the terms, the fee. If you are going to be a buyer client, explaining from A to Z what are the services of the real estate agent. Then you will go to page 3. Again, your responsibility, buyer or seller beware. What are they? Those are the things that will be defined there. My whole idea of this is to make it as short as possible. Here, okay, you have responsibilities as a client. To be clear about what you want and don't want, your goals, responding to and communication with your real estate agent. Those are items that you need to learn. So know the risk of representing yourself. What are they? Believe me, there's a lot of significant risks in representing yourself. I mean, if you have a court case, and I did have this experience once, you don't want to be the lawyer because you don't know the rules from A to Z. You don't know what kind of judge you're expecting. Even if you did that research, to practically do that, at that period of time is a risk. And when it comes to real estate, it is your biggest asset that you're dealing with. So working with a real estate agent that has the experience, the skill, all items to put them together in representing you. If you're a buyer, to get you the best terms and the lowest price possible. If you're a seller's client, how to get you the maximum price in the shortest period of time. It's just that is what you get. But when you don't, what are the risks? Remember, the real estate agent that represent the seller work for the benefit of the seller. So if you're a buyer and calling them, they're gonna pretty much all the communication is going to be how do they get the maximum price for that seller client of theirs. If you have your own agent, though, they do with the experience communicating with the seller's agent to favor you in every way. That would be including knowing the market price of the property, not the asking price and the selling price. So I don't want to make it long, but there's a lot of risk in representing yourself. Even your experienced buyer and seller, time change, the market condition change. It's so nice to have a professional real estate agent to represent you. So that's that. So the other pages are signing a contract with a real estate brokerage. So you are expected, once you choose the right real estate agent, to have a contract for a period of time to work exclusively with that agent, whether it was a buyer or the seller. The reason is that agent has a responsibility to really take care of you as if they're buying that property for themselves in every way. If they fail to do that, you have somebody to hold accountable for. And some people are afraid about signing the paper. But remember again, for me, for example, I have what I call a 30-day close to cancel. I am willing to cancel the service if the relationship, the agency relationship, if you're not happy with my service. Of course, you have to get that, but there shouldn't be fear because you could fire that agent, in my opinion, anytime. So you'd rather have a representation to hold somebody accountable. They did everything there is in the book to protect you in your biggest asset that you're negotiating with. And just to have to explain the whole terms of the contract for you to sign that paper when you start working with them as a buyer or as a seller. Yeah. So the payment, the service, that's that. Termination provision, like if, and then explaining multiple representation, how I would recommend always, I would get some other agent to represent a buyer if you're my seller. If it was a seller, if you're my buyer, I'd rather have somebody else representing the seller because again, the whole goal of the real estate agent is to look after the best interest of their client. And the best way I could service you is if I were your exclusive real estate agent. So holdover clauses like, for example, when we have that contract, if I showed you a property and let's say after 30 days or 60 days, depending on what the holdover clause was, you went ahead and bought that property directly from the seller or the agent, you're still responsible for that. So holdover clauses are like the agent is not being used to be a vehicle to show and put in their time to do it, but then for some reason you decide not to buy that specific property without them. So that's what holdover clauses are. Multiple representation, like as I say, it's not a good idea that you have one agent to represent both seller and buyer. So we have a right as a client to refuse multiple representation. That means I want my own agent to be my buyer agent, and I want you to get it, so you have that right as well. So how to make a complaint? If you're not happy with the real estate service or they did something that's not ethical or that you thought they don't have the skill, so you have a way of complaining to the broker. By the way, when you sign any contract, even though you're signing with me as a real estate agent, you're signing with my brokerage. So you have a right to go back to my brokerage, the manager or the owner to complain about what happened. If the manager or the broker was not able to solve that problem, then you have RECO, the Real Estate Council of Ontario, to complain. And believe me, they're really, they want to please the consumer. We could lose our license if somebody complained and their complaint was legitimate. Okay. So you're protected in every way in that sense. Hey, I really hope you found this information very valuable. And this is the information you should be explained to when you think about real estate to start with, the relationship you have with a real estate agent. And if you happen to have any question, feel free to call me anytime for 1-6-918-5979. You have yourself a wonderful day and God bless and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.